Welcome to this ATA Insights webinar. Thank you for your ongoing interest and support of our webinar program. Today's session will begin in 2 minutes. ATA Insights Webinars is an online platform for the dissemination of professional renewable energy knowledge across international borders. Our aim is to democratize access to information, for innovation to spread faster, and to make the industry more competitive. And we do this through our online sessions, open to all our members. Every year we do more than 100 sessions with over 250 speakers, 50,000 attendees from more than 50 countries. To participate in the session today, use the chat on the right-hand side to introduce yourself, your company, and where you're joining from. Under the screen you will find the Q&A box, where you can send your questions for the speakers. We will get to as many as we can today. We're recording this session and we will send you a link to the materials in a few days. Please consider supporting our content creation for the webinar program. Contact us on the email on screen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Helena Portado from ATA Insights, and I'll be the moderator of this session. I'll welcome you to the webinar, Pioneering Portugal's Biomethane Revolution. Today, I'm connecting from Madrid, and you can tell me through the chat from which company and place you are connecting. If you want to ask any questions to the speaker, you can put them in the Q&A box. In the last 20 minutes, they will be answered. If you're watching through YouTube, you can send the questions through the chat, and our team will send to the Zoom so that I can see them. This session is being recorded, and in a few days, we'll send you all the materials used in this webinar. Today, we have 3 amazing speakers with us. Gustavo Fuhrmann from BIOREF, Rui Brilhante from Ferbgás Renováveis, and José Manuel Terras from FLOENE. Let's meet our speakers. Gustavo, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Gustavo. I work here in BIOREF. I'm a chemical engineer with a master in energetic planning. I was specialized in natural gas, mainly in the energy transition in Brazilian case. And I'm here in Portugal from 2 years by now and work in the renewable gases field.
Thank you so much, Gustavo. Rui, would you like to tell us a little bit about you as well? You're muted.
Of course, thank you, Elena. Thank you, first of all, thank you ATA Insights for putting all together for this webinar. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Rui Brilhante. I am one of the founders of Ferbgás. We are basically a platform for biogas production in Iberia. So we go all the way from origination to licensing, construction, and operation of the plants. Well, I'm a civil engineer. I'm in Lisbon right now, and very excited for being here and help out with this incredible team and subjects you've put up for us. Thank you.
Lovely. José, last but not least, would you like to tell us a little about you as well?
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Good morning to Ata and my co-panelists and everyone online. So my name is José Manuel Terras, as you said. I have a background in electrical engineering, having been working in energy sectors in 2011. Recently, from 2001, I've been joining FLOENE, where I'm responsible for energy transition in new technologies, / we work close to the energy transition policy, all that makes happen to decarbonize the gas sector as a whole, industry, supporting producers, entities, several stakeholders, but with the focus that decarbonization will happen smoothly. In a decarbonized world, we will all benefit in a long run, short run, for sure. So that's our job, and this is my commitment. And thanks for your invitation. Hopefully, we will be sharing with you some good insights on the gas sector in Portugal, the energy sector in Portugal, and why this is an advantage for all of you, and biomethane in particular, to be developed in the long run in Portugal. Thank you all.
José. Gustavo, would you like to share with us your presentation?
Sure. Let me know if it's okay.
Not yet. And yeah, now we can see it. Perfect.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Elena, and good morning for my colleagues. Let me introduce BioRef first. I'm currently working here in BioRef since the beginning of the year, and BioRef is a technology center that connects innovation and high qualified knowledge to the industrial sector. This connection identifies the need for biorefinery technologies and promotes bioeconomy and bioenergy. Our mission here is to improve the biorefinery competitiveness in Portugal and Europe. Our vision is to become an international reference in biorefining, and our objectives are to promote new value chains and new technologies. Here you can check all of our associates, and they are distributed between industry, technology providers, fuel and transport companies, waste management, research centers, and universities. We are based in 4 different places in Portugal: Lisboa, Porto Alegre, Aveiro, and Matosinhos. I'm currently working here at our headquarters in Matosinhos. We provide various ad hoc services on the biorefinery value chain, for example, consultancy, feasibility studies, market analysis, and research and development. Each service is unique, and we are committed to meeting the needs of our customers in the biorefining area. Besides our services, we are involved in several funded projects. H2 Driven is a huge project here in Portugal, but I want today to highlight the High Fuel Up project. High Fuel Up is a pilot project that aims to prove the concept of power-to-methane technology, a key development to optimize biomethane production. The concept can be highly integrated into anaerobic digestion using dry digestate and maximizing the biomethane production through gasification, electrolysis, and methanation. The process consists of using some residual carbon source that could be lignocellulosic waste or dry digestate and gasifying it. The gas products are syngas and flue gas. Part of this syngas produced is used to generate electricity to power the unit, and the other part goes with the flue gas to a methanation reactor. The demonstration aims to produce synthetic methane with this stream with a flexible addition of hydrogen coming from an electrolyzer. Now I'm going to talk to the Portuguese biomethane action plan. And why develop the biomethane action plan? The biomethane can accelerate the Portuguese energy transition, can enhance the use of endogenous primary materials and recovery waste, reduce the energy dependence, promote the economic growth and the industry decarbonization, and it's very important to say that biomethane cost now is more competitive. The biomethane action plan aims to develop the Portuguese biomethane market, replacing part of natural gas demand by using endogenous residual biomass. The plan is divided into 2 phases, until 2026 and until 2040. Here you can check some of the priorities, but all the priorities are translated into the plan's tasks. The current biogas production is around 146 millions of cubic meters per year, and the production comes mainly from the organic fraction of urban solid waste with a small share of sewage sludge. The current biogas production represents 16% of the technical potential from AD and the biomethane production. Anaerobic digestion represents 29% of technical potential of biomethane. Gasification represents a bigger potential, 44%. And power-to-methane technology has a potential of 27%. The highest biomethane potential for anaerobic digestion comes from agriculture and livestock waste, with a great potential to develop in Portugal. Here we can check the tests on the phase 1. and I would like to highlight some tasks that promote the upgrading of existing biogas units, simplify and streamline the license process, implement pilot projects, promote the biomethane grid injection and its use in transport sector. In phase 2, we have here the tasks, and I want to highlight also the promote AD units from agricultural and livestock waste, created centralized solutions to ensure feedstock stability, promote technology innovation diversification, and develop the digestate market. In the transverse axis, during all the period, the focus is to promote the participation between stakeholders and society to develop the biomethane market. It's very important to engage the community to these discussions, not just the actors in the value chain. The main goal is to go from no biomethane production to replacing up to 9% of natural gas consumption by 2030. This can be achieved with 120 AD units with the capacity of 250 cubic meters per hour, or 30 AD units with capacity of 1,000 cubic meters per hour of biomethane. By 2040, it's possible with all the technologies available to replace up to 18% of natural gas consumption. Another huge goal is to reduce the CO2 emissions. We can reduce up to 0.56 megatons of CO2 equivalent by 2030 and 1.14 megatons of CO2 equivalent by 2040. The economic study shows that to convert the existing biogas units is estimated the total cost of 62 euros per megawatt hour for a biomethane unit with the same capacity that I mentioned before, that is 250 cubic meters per hour. The AD capex indicated here is the cost of opportunity of not using this biogas to produce electricity, considering an almost total amortization of the investment costs. The other significant part of the capex is the upgrading unit and the injection system. This first scenario is, just to remember, is the upgrading of existing biogas unit and injection to the grid. The next scenario is building a new facility of biomethane with the same capacity, and also to inject biomethane into the grid. And to build this new AD unit, it's estimated the total cost of 125 euros per megawatt hour, with the same capacity as mentioned before. And the economic study shows with a capex support of 40%, the final cost of biomethane could drop from 125 to 93 euros per megawatt hour, making biomethane projects more attractive. It's interesting to note that the internal return rate for the simulation was 9%, and this can vary. And the main difference cost between the scenario 1 and 2 is the construction of a greenfield anaerobic digesting unit. And it's interesting to mention that this cost can easily increase if we need some liquefaction and road transport infrastructure. Here we can see that entities that BioRef contacted before the public consult and verify that our associates are aligned with the biomethane market development here in Portugal. And thank you very much for your attention and your time.
Thanks so much, Gustavo, for your presentation. Rui, would you like to go next?
Now, I didn't forget to turn off the mute, so thank you very much, Elena. First, I must say again, it's a pleasure to be here, to be a panelist together with Gustavo and Manuel. For everyone to know, it's BioRef and FLOENE are two of the strongest players and influencers on the biomethane market here in Portugal, doing a great job. BioRef is one of the main designers of the biomethane national plan, and FLOENE obviously being the operator of the grid, of the biggest operator of distribution grid for natural gas here in Portugal. Obviously, they have a word to say. With no further delays, thank you again. I'll put in my presentation. Yeah, let me know. Sorry.
No worries.
I need to step ahead. First, I need to share the screen. Okay, share, and then.
Perfect.
Can you see it on full screen, right? All right.
Not exactly. Now,
No?
yes. Perfect.
Okay.
No. Now you got it.
Okay. Thank you. So Ferbgás, we are basically, there's a lot of names you can call us, but mainly we are developers, especially at this stage. We have we're very optimistic about the biomethane development here in Portugal. We can call ourselves pioneers, and so we thank you for the invitation again. We believe we fit perfectly on the panel here. We have been working very hard on developing biomethane projects in Portugal on a lot of sources. It's been 3 years now that we've been together, searching for the projects, but also searching for everything that needs to be put together for the project to happen. Not only a project, but a portfolio of projects. And also what we did, we've obviously one of the first strategic things you had to go for is to find the financial support. So to find an investor that would have the same vision that we have, so we could have all the firepower we would need to make everything happen. And we found it. We're very thankful for the partnership with the White Summit Capital, and that gives us that mentioned firepower, that can the strong resource that you can have to develop from coast to coast projects, from origination to engineering, licensing, construction, and then operation and maintenance. Our goal is to have in the next 5 years to reach 10 projects. Okay, that's a minimum goal, and we believe we can do better than that. Well, this is the presentation gives me a bit more support and everything that I want to tell you, with not forgetting anything. So, but Ferbgás starts with basically 2 partners, one with chemical background and some more in experience in digestion and biomethane and biogas, which is Rafael, my partner, and I have a bit more experience on all the development part and construction, engineering, the project management, and then operation and maintenance also. Like I was saying, we got the investment. This was a very important step for us, and strategic, so that when we go to someone promising and telling them, come together on the boat with us, share the challenge of building a biomethane plant, we can say we have everything that is needed. We can do it. We know they can look people in the eye and say, we can do what we promise. Yeah. So we are very purpose driven. This is something we normally say. This more than a business. This is a purpose. People that have kids know what I feel. We prepare our kids for the future, but we look at the news and we feel that we need to prepare the future for our kids too. So it's very good to work in a company, purpose-driven company like we are, and feel that every day we wake up, and even if the day doesn't go well, we are doing something very good, and the challenges are all worth it, and it's never too much, and it's good to come out. And this is a special week to say this. We come out of holidays and we feel, okay, I want to go back to work, and because I love what I do, and everybody that is on our team, they feel the same. This is very, very, very fulfilling. So like I was saying, we work coast to coast, from origination, development, putting up engineering, financing and business modeling, licensing, construction, and then operation and maintenance. Okay, so we have been developing, structuring everything so we can go all the steps and all the way to make sure that everything happens the right way. We've seen and we have experience on different on being players on different stages, but we believe that the best way that project to run well is that people are committed and staying on the project for the whole life cycle. Yeah. Well, it's a bit more about our background. But this I've mentioned before. Well, a bit of the context of Portugal. This is a bit outdated information. This is from a study from 2022. So Portugal is number 14 on the ranking of potential to build biogas and biomethane production. We believe that it can be a bit better than this, you know, and Gustavo mentioned there's a lot of methanation from hydrogen, but this is not, I believe this is not here. So there's a big potential for that also. This is also outdated. This is from 2020, but you can see that I find this chart very interesting. You can see the growth on every year, how it happens, and you can see it's exponential, and it's already outdated for 4 years. I also like to mention, you know, the amazing number of plants in France. You know, and they are growing very quick in terms of number of plants. They do it smaller, you know, because of the legislation they've put up. But basically what this slide tells us is that this is not new technology. This is not, you know, something out of the laboratories and trying to be implemented. This is known. All the tech providers are very strong. They're very mature. They know how to do it, and that gives us good warranties in terms of technical, in terms of the technical part, right? So to tell you a bit, I'm sorry, I'm bringing a bit of my perspective, of our perspective, Ferbgás perspective, and how we see the development, a bit of what we do. Obviously, we take the chance to present ourselves, but I'm trying to bring a bit of the perspective of a developer, of a plant owner. Okay, that I think that it will help. You know, we have a lot of players, a lot of participants. They'll be interested in different parts. Obviously, for some, I'll be telling you some stuff that they already know, but for someone else, it might be interesting. So okay, so basically, what we look for when we go for to aim for building a plant, you know, it's a bit. This slide tells us a bit of what we need to do. What is our goals? What is our strategy? What is our plan? But basically what we do, we need to originate. First of all, we need to bring all the players together. We need to find the feedstock. We need to find the land, a land that is good for building, a land that is close to the pipeline for injection. That would be preferable. Like Gustavo was saying, the costs, the OPEX costs and even CAPEX go very high if you are off grid and you need to compress or liquefy to transport it. So the perfect project is a project that is close to the feedstock, on a land where you can build, and a cheap land, obviously, and the land that is close to the pipeline for injection. So we start by putting all of that together. We do the basic model, business modeling. It looks good. We go further. We start investing on engineering, on the finding the tech providers. They need to work together, finding the right technical solution, licensing. With the licensing, we go for the gross investment and start building it. Okay, that takes another 2 years. Then the ramp up, the startup of the plant, the production ramp up, and then the stabilization of the operation and maintenance. So I must tell you, I've worked with renewable energies before. I've worked with cogeneration. I've worked with hydrogen, and biomethane. It's very complex. Okay, we have the complexity of all of them. We have the complexity of an industrial operation, an industrial origination, not so much origination, but industrial development of a project, and plus this is biological. Actually, the heart of the biogas production, it's bacteria. Okay, so we, at the same time, we are veterinarians and almost like psychologists for the bacteria. We need to understand very well how it works. And Gustavo is laughing, he knows what I'm talking about. At the end, this is a lot of Excel sheets, it's a lot of talking, a lot of negotiation, a lot of finding the right conditions for a project to happen. But in the end, nature is doing all the hard work, and we are not inventing anything. You know, nature is bringing the solutions for us again. So like I was saying, the four pillars of what we need to put together for the project to happen and to look good. Economically, it needs to look good. Technically, it needs to look good. Biologically, again, and then legally. There's a lot of regulation, legislation framework that needs to be fine-tuned and assessed. All right. Well, about biogas, I don't know. I believe that all the participants know what biogas is. I don't need to sell the idea and the importance of biogas and how, but I can tell you a bit the story. I was working with hydrogen, and I realized that with biogas, it's a much more mature technology, much more complex, obviously, but it's the impact that it can have for me, when I'm working with so many different types of projects and technology before, it's the you know, I would call it the easiest fruit to pick up from the tree. The technology is here, the potential is here, the impact that it can have, it's the biggest that I can find. Yeah. So as a father, I feel the urge to, you know, implement biogas, biomethane, and make it happen. And we, like I was saying, we have a purpose feeling and a legacy feeling. So there's a lot of cooperation in Ferbgás. We love to help. We love to share information. We feel that we gain a lot more from cooperation than to be worried about competition. We love doing partnerships. We love, you know, sometimes we feel like this meeting is not a meeting. This was a lesson. You know, this was a class about biogas, and we love doing that. And we feel like, well, BIOREF, I have the pleasure to be here today with BIOREF and FLOENE, and we feel the same. Every time we see them, they are doing this exactly the same way and exactly with the same feeling. Well, to give you something more, what type of feedstock are good for biodigestion? Well, some are better than others, but the cow manure is very good. Animal residue is very good also. There's always some concern about what is renewable and what is not. You know the RED III directive, the European directive for what is renewable and what is not. Every time it competes, every time a residue or feedstock can be used for direct feeding either of people or animals, it's not renewable anymore. Okay, might have a good potential for producing biomethane, but if you want to produce renewable biomethane, you have to take a good look at what type of feedstock you have. Yeah, and then, well, I have here a very simple image of what a small biomethane facility looks like. Well, from the entire plant, you start with the feedstock. If you have seasonal feedstock, you need also to think about storing. Okay, storing space, storing conditions. Technicality comes in. What type of feedstock you have? How do you conserve it? And then you have the charging and the feeding of the system. Sometimes you have a pre-mixture, a pre-digestion, and then it goes into the digester. Here, it's an aerobic digestion, so you have to keep the oxygen out. Bacteria does the work. Four different phases with 4 different bacteria doing the work. Need to control a lot of parameters: temperature, pH, the nutrients coming in, the balance between carbon and nitrogen, the healthiness of the bacteria balance, the ecosystem. And then you can have a CHP, which is the combined heat and power, basically the small cogeneration, where you can burn the biogas as it is. So the biogas comes out normally 60% methane, 40% CO2 comes out. You can be burned directly like that, or you can do an upgrading, separate methane from CO2, and then biomethane is natural gas and can be very easily injected into the grid. FLOENE knows that. They are very, very willing to receive biomethane into their grid, so to make it so they have a renewable fuel flowing in their pipes. And then you have also an output of what we call digestate, which is basically a natural fertilizer. Yeah. So in terms of the circular economy, basically, normally we have fertilizers coming into the field, the cows get their feeding from the fields also. You need energy for some industry, and you have the manure and the residue coming out. This is the non-circular. Well, actually, manure goes into the field, but there are some problems, some issues about that. Having the digester, so the manure and other residues goes into the digester. Like I was saying, biogas comes out. It can be burned and produce electricity, or it can be separated and on an upgrading, and then biomethane can be injected, and also from the digester you have the digestate, which is fertilizer coming back from the fields, which is more powerful than manure in terms of fertilizing. Okay. And basically what we do is we keep fertilizing the fields. We're not taking out the manure as a fertilizer, but we capture the greenhouse gas, which is methane, right? I don't know if everybody knows, but methane has it's much more greenhouse gas effects than what CO2 has, depends on how many years it takes for the accounting, but it's between 80 times more to 28 times more. Okay, so whenever you capture methane from any system and you burn it and make it CO2, it's 27 to 79 times better than to actually release it into the atmosphere. And that is the big catch for the biomethane. When I found out about this was the eureka moment for me. I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I know what is the career shift I want for my life. Yeah. We have our contacts. Thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you ATA Insights again, and I hope I've given you what we were looking for. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your great presentation. Jose, the floor is yours. Whenever you're ready, you can share your presentation with us.
Sure. So thanks again for the invitation. I'm trying to share it. Please let me know if it's working. I believe it is already, but if it's not, please let me know. So for those of you that are not quite aware who FLOENE is, we are the biggest operator in Portugal of gas. So we have more or less 70% of the market that goes from northern parts of the country to the southeast. And we serve around 1.13 million clients with around 16 terawatts of energy. So we are absolutely agnostic what kind of renewable gas we distribute, and this is very important to say at the beginning. So we believe that biomethane is a huge opportunity. And if you look at European level, we see that southern part of Europe is lagging. And it's lagging behind not only because the potential is not there, but in number of units. So this is an update version for European Biomethane Association. And we can see that the southern part, it's a bit lagging. Of course, we cannot really compare with France, given the conditions, regulatory frameworks, and so forth. But if we believe that biomethane is a way to put European nations and European Union as a whole as more independent energetically, it's something we have to ramp up and speed up. But for sure, you need support mechanisms. So there is no free lunches, and here makes a huge difference if you have the right support mechanism and the right places to make that politics and even political support is in the right place. And Portugal luckily look at the renewable gases as an opportunity more than a challenge. And recently we have been witnessing a lot of movement towards a decarbonized world using free or renewable electrons and renewable gases. And the Recover and Resilient Plan is one of the main supporters in terms of capex that gives a notion that both hydrogen and biomethane can be supported towards there. The National Hydrogen Strategy really brought a huge thematic to Iberia in terms of capacity to develop a competitive advantage for our country in terms of renewable gases and hydrogen specifically, and the National Energy and Climate Plan that somehow is under revision, so public consultation. We invite you all to participate and check if the document makes sense for all of you. But the thematic and the central part here is biomethane. And if you look at biomethane as a whole, as I was mentioned, is a bit lagging in Iberia and mostly Portugal, and is not that potential is not here. So if the right conditions are met, and we believe they are being met right now, and the biomethane action plan that Gustavo just presented is one of them, sets a target to have what we call a potential speed up plan. And this speed up plan targets 9%, more or less 10% in 2030. And this can be somehow speed up with OPEX and CAPEX support. If the resilience and recovery plan is making that in terms of CAPEX, the renewable gases auction that launched this year and then still under development consultation phase, something like that. So it's public consultation part that you can all have access, gives the de-risking part of the investment. And this is, of course, is an auction, so it's a competitive market for both biomethane and hydrogen, but for sure will give the notion that the market here in Portugal will be start developed and will be boosted by both the CAPEX and OPEX supports that we all account for and looking for in terms of de-risking investment, and make sure every single one will have a good business, regardless if it's a producer, a consumer, or even a distributor or grid operator as we are. In terms of what has FLOENE being receiving in terms of injection requests, there are more information requests. There are more than 190 right now. So this gives a bit the notion of how the market is evolving, how we can see things moving fast in terms of access to grid. And access to grid is not only a solution, can be somehow a trouble here and there, but we are here to facilitate and speed up and help in whatever we can. And let's make sure that this happens in a, I would say, a seamless way, but for sure there is challenges, and those challenges can be met towards a solution or towards a problem. And we are always on the solution side, and this biomethane action plan that was launched create what we consider 2 or 3 action lines that can really help and can be tremendously helpful for producer, consumers, and even the market as a whole. And we feel, if look at the action lines, I will not go one by one, but some of them are really impactful. And the sharing network costs, it's one of them. So we all know that pipelines and digging holes for pipelines is quite expensive, quite costly. If we are talking about a long distance, this makes sense to be supported. So the place right now in Portugal is that the producer pays everything to the grid connection. We believe that this action plan signalizes that we need to have a cost sharing mechanism, and we have witnessed that several countries in Europe have done it. So it's something that has to be speed up, has to be met, the conditions, to make sure that the line of CAPEX is not too big, or we will have potential that is anchored due to the location, and that's quite not what we really want. And if we look at, well, in terms of the distance to the grid, we acknowledge that mostly in the southern part of Portugal or up north in the country, there is no development of gas grids there, and will probably never be, due to the long fields that we have and the absence of consumption. So there, the virtual pipelines and the biomethane communities are a solution. So we have witnessed a lot of injection requests, and some of them can, from day to night, let's put it that way, decarbonize 100% consumption locally. And this 100% decarbonization is something that we can achieve with a project. If we have an aggregation effect and we make sure that these virtual pipelines are used with liquefied or compressed natural gas, we will not have anchored producers or anchored potential in some remote regions that will say, I'm not close to the grid, I cannot inject. So here is more like the compression and liquefaction process can speed up, can help, and can be a solution. Of course, they are not going to be a solution for everybody. They will not be seen as a solution or individual solution, but an aggregation phase, we believe that central hubs of reception of gas are something that we need to develop and we should develop. This is not only useful for Portugal or the southern part of Europe, it's being used in the northern part of Europe as well. So it's like a learning effect, and sharing is caring in this fact of let's see how the others are doing and let's replicate. So these two conditions, we believe, in terms of grid injection are really, really important. And for sure, we will have both the production side and the consumption side to make available at cost that makes sense. And this cost, of course, is impacted as far as liquefaction and compression can be different OPEX intensities. And as Gustavo mentioned, whenever you start compressing, liquefy, or using liquefaction, the cost goes up. So the production side will suffer, and the consumption side most likely will suffer as well in terms of margins and de-risking investment. And what we have done in terms of looking at the gas grid, we have been developed a study close with the Roland Berger that gives a notion of what the gas grid of the future is going to be. And to try to support this mechanism of explaining what we perceive or what we have studied, I have to bring what we see 3 phases of the gas grid. So the first phase is where we are right now. We have several injection requests, both from biomethane, both from hydrogen, and we will have a blend. And this blend will be limited by a percentage of technical availability, but the illustration gives that we will have natural gas plus biomethane plus hydrogen for several sometimes. Of course, we might have some places that have green hydrogen directly to clients, where we can sell dedicated networks, and these dedicated networks can be retrofitted ones or new ones as a solution that is going to be what we call short term. Then on the medium term, or this medium term, short term is a bit like no one knows. If I knew, I wouldn't tell you. I would probably be selling the information. So, but the movement towards the network decarbonization is going to be from a blend to something that is going to be likely more renewable than fossil, until a place which is like the third phase, where we will have blended natural gas residual with biomethane and green hydrogen. Some of the regions in Portugal and maybe in Europe will be 100% hydrogen, those that make sense to be 100% hydrogen. Some of the others are going 100% biomethane, and some of them are going to be a mix. And that mix most likely is going to be 80% green methane and 20% hydrogen, or 100% hydrogen, if that makes sense in some regions. And then with this notion, we concluded several things in the study. One is like that both renewable gases and renewable energy, in a sense, including electricity and gas, is needed in the long run. And if we acknowledge that we can have an extensive electrification or extensive hydrogen decarbonization, we stress both models to find that the balanced decarbonization has benefits. And has benefits not only because we use current assets that we have right now, not only because we have the potential of renewable electricity goes where it should go, and in sense of renewable gases where it should apply or make sense for decarbonization, and that because it minimizes investment and disruption. And this word is quite impactful for consumers and producers in the long run. Once we have long-term systems operations, disruption doesn't really make sense. And somehow, if you are an investor and if you feel that you have a disruption in the long run, what you don't do is stop investing. So this balanced decarbonization will give the notion of stability, of certainty, and somehow to make sure that the circular economy exists in Portugal and will be used where it should be used. And this where it should be used brings the question is where the demand is going to be in terms of renewable gases. And so we stress the model saying that for those of you that are not aware or quite acquainted with the Portuguese market, 80% of natural gas on the traditional market, removing the electricity generation, is used by industries. And those industries will need renewable gases in the future. The classic ones, where we can say that the glass and paper and even ceramic industries, but as well newcomers. And those newcomers are transportation sector, are cement, and those will need renewable gases to speed up decarbonization and to make it available. Because it's not here if you are stressing the model saying, is that possible to use one technology or the other one? Is like, makes sense to use it at cost benefit in the short, medium, and long run? And the answer is yes, because they are perceived notions that the renewable gases and electricity will be needed at a different percentage, at the different phases and the different rhythms. This is more or less the demand mapping of industries in Portugal that we use to bring a model that says, can we match the demand with the offer? And the answer is yes. And this is more or less a potential analysis that is complementary to the one that BIOREF was being done to the roadmap of biomethane. And luckily, we got very aligned until to 2040. I will show the numbers right away. But what these really maps are bringing, and it's our intention to pitch here, is you have decentralized energy production. So wherever you will have some type of production, you need to speed up or to put together a way to have that endogenous energy to be into place of decarbonization. And that goes for electricity as it goes for gas. So gas grids were going to be needed, and some technologies that bring gas grids available as virtual pipelines or compensation in terms of shared costing for investment. And if you look at 2050, you have regions that will have more hydrogen than biomethane and the other way around. But the big number is more or less the 1,000, let's put it in the round number, renewable gases production, both hydrogen and biomethane, that can make available or possible to have a decarbonization of the consumption. And if we look at the final gas distribution demand that we estimate in FLOENE, Portugal, and Sonorgas, not only FLOENE grids, we have 9 out of 11 DSOs, there are 2 more. We are talking about 23 round number terawatt hours. And is that possible to decarbonize? The answer is yes. There is a potential up to 2050 of around 14 terawatt hours that it's split, as we can see. And if we cross-check this analysis with the biomethane action plan, we are more or less 100% aligned until 2040. Then the analysis for synthetic methane kind of unbalances the analysis, but that's not the focus over here. The focus is biomethane. So the question is, there is going to be demand. The answer is yes. Is going to be supply? The answer is yes. How will make this happen? Now this is the 300 million question. And we don't know how to make it happen. We know that that's possible. Address 2 main stocks. And those stocks on feedstocks are the brownfield and the greenfield. Brownfield is mostly linked to biogas to biomethane upgrading. There are several units anchored to electricity production in Portugal with feed-in tariff. We believe that the good application of this biomethane, or at least biogas to biomethane, could be a solution to speed up the biomethane production. Of course, there is a perception of benefit and investment that needs to be met, and we all acknowledge that, but we think that is one of the low-hanging fruit. The other ones are greenfield projects. Here, the aggregation of raw material is challenging, and the distance to the grid can be as well. Here is not if this is likely to happen. We have the French example, so it's very likely to happen. We have the speed up process of Spain. So the market of biomethane in Spain is quite active, and we believe that we can learn a lot with the Spanish friends. And here is like, if we have the right place of demand, if we have the right place to make sure that you have energy production and biomethane boosting the decarbonization of industry, there are right conditions that need to be met. Some of them, they are on the way, and we acknowledge that. Some others, not that much. So we think that simplified licensing permits is key, not only in solar and wind development here as well. So it's renewable energy. There is a biodigester. It's not only visible big, it's big in terms of licensing. So here is like the simplification. The digestate legislation, it's something that can be fine-tuned for sure in Portugal, and we'll make sure we have one more revenue stream in terms of projects, most likely for the greenfield. And here is important for people like Rui Brilhante and some other players in the market that need to see those conditions met to have, as I said, an extra revenue stream there. An aggregation of players, it's key. It's not only because size matters in this kind of projects in terms of capex dilution or de-risking investment, because we think that some of the projects in the southern part of Portugal, they will need to have an aggregation in terms of gas reception, because they are really, really far away from grid, some of them they are not, but most likely if the engagement and boosting of the market will make effect to make sure that there is a system answer for them. And that system is like the energy system answer, not only as the technological or economical benefit here. And if we jump in all of these 3 steps, for sure, we will have a reality that creates job, that brings decarbonization, and most likely, as Rui and Gustavo were mentioned, but I know that Rui is quite sensitive to this topic, is a sense of we have to be promoting renewable energy, decentralized, not only for circular economy, but to make sure that the future brings 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 types of energy that it can use. And here is more about the democratic and being agnostic in terms of energy. But if the conditions are met to make this true, we all as country and economic will benefit. And if we talk several times about reindustrialization of Portugal with hydrogen, we believe that for keeping the industries competitive, that they are already in Portugal and coming, biomethane is going to be one of the solutions as well. So here is more like, look at the bright side of circularity, not only in the impact of social, economical, and environmental, of course, but as well as attracting investment, both foreign or for industries or energy production. And beg your pardon. And my follow remarks is going to be what we think is going to be the future of renewable gases in Portugal and the evolution of the gas grid. So we are right now, I would say 99.99% of natural gas. We have renewable gases already injected, but in a pilot project that we are developing in Seychelles, we all invite you to participate with hydrogen injection. And if we look at the roadmap for decarbonization, there are three things that are key. One is energy security, and as an operator, we'll make sure that happens. In terms of decentralization of energy, this is particularly impactful. And we believe that energy transition doesn't exist without local communities. And not only involving them and bringing the waste to energy part, but as well of creating a benefit and an opportunity for waste. And most of the waste that we are now going to landfills and somehow being wasted in terms of centralization can be not only reused, but having a valorization. The last part, and the thing that is not obvious for everybody, is biomethane brings a solution for fertilization. And fertilizers, organic fertilizers, are way better than the other ones that let me put it in a one-to-one comparison. And it's one more, I would say, bright side from this biomethane. As FLOENE Energy as SCA, we are open to facilitate whatever project that needs to facilitate. We are here to help and to make sure that all the questions, doubts, or even where the grids are and how can we inject is going to make a reality. If the grids are not there, and we will make sure that the project will have a potential both for injection or any other way, we can help. And something that I would like to say as well, if you are a consumer and you are looking for biomethane, we don't sell gas. And this is very important to say it, because often we have this question. We don't sell gas, but we make sure that the renewable gases will be in the grid, and we'll make sure that the decarbonization will happen in Portugal with renewable gases. Thank you all, and they are more than available for questions that you might have.
So much, Jose. I do have a question for you. In FLOENE's opinion, what is the decisive factor for a ramp up of biomethane in Portugal?
Well, that's the good question. So thanks for the question. I think there are two conditions that really have to be met to ramp up. One is de-risking investment, and that de-risk of investment goes for CapEx and OpEx. I think CapEx, we have witnessed some applications for PRR, the Resilient and Recovery Plan. Let's make sure that we don't only have PRR and that's it, nothing else. So we need to have some support mechanisms on that side. But I think off-taking side needs to be in the long term. There is an answer for that, which is called feed-in tariffs. They were applicable for electricity before in Portugal and all Europe. I don't see why they should not be applied in Portugal. If we look at France and other countries as Germany and Netherlands and so forth, that's the really key factor to ramp up injection of biomethane and so forth. The second one, and I think it's important, is one that I have mentioned, has to be the cost of injection. Distance matters in terms of pipelines, of course. And if the cost sharing mechanism is met in terms of, I wouldn't say, or let's put it in the broad sense, let's not do this for 20 years or 30 years, but let's make sure that the beginning of the process is helped with this kind of solution. And again, some other countries have brought 50% compensation, 20% compensation, 30% compensation, and that really matters in terms of the Excel file that you put together for investors or even to project finance. So those two, I think, are the ones that should be met. One of them, in terms of CapEx, is being put, and I think it can be replicated in new run, but the risk, OpEx, and certainty of taking, it's key. Not only the auctions, but somehow a central compensation, it would be great. In terms of distance to the grid as well, there are a replication of solutions as virtual pipelines that can be used, but I think, and we think as FLOENE, that several projects are close to the grid, and they are close, meaning very close, but 10, 15, 20 kilometers can really turn the boat upside down. And if there is a push there, it will make sure that it will happen.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Rui, I wanted to ask you, what are the biggest challenges for developers?
Great question. Well, we have to put everything together, right? And definitely we need to find the feedstock, we need to find the pipeline, but I would say that finding the right land is, I would say, the key point, because you optimize everything else around. If you find the right land where it's close to the feedstock, where it's close to the pipeline, where you can actually build, the municipality and the licensing, it's easier, okay, and it has the right size and the right price, okay, I would say that's the key turning point when you find the biggest challenge, yeah, in terms of originating one project, yes. And also it's very defining for the future to find the right land with the right conditions, the right topography. Everything else will be much more easier and swift along the way. In terms of the market as a whole, there's a perfect part of this the presentation from José Manuel Terras, the central part of the key insights, and it's an amazing resume of what needs to happen, from the legal framework, the supporting, certification of the digest state, the collaboration between the players. I would say it's all there, but to make a long story short, for me, the biggest challenge for me and from what you feel is finding the right land, because when you do find the right land, it puts everything together in the right way.
Thank you so much, Rui, for your explanation. I also have a question for Gustavo, and I wanted to ask you, Gustavo, regarding your presentation, what would be the increase in cost for the same scenario if biomethane liquefaction unit were required?
Yeah, as I think Rui and Jose also mentioned, the costs for liquefaction, compression, and transport could dramatically increase the cost. From our simulation to the Portuguese action plan, that cost, that value is around, for a small plant that 250 cubic meters per hour, this cost could increase by 32% plus, or 1/3 of the cost of this new small plant is from the liquefaction infrastructure.
All right, thank you so much. We are running out of time, so we are going to send all the questions to our speakers, and if they would like, they can email you with the answer. I want to thank you, all of you, for coming today, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you.